Good morning. Good morning. Happy hump day. Happy Wednesday. Market just opened. We'll see where we're at today on a Wednesday. Let me check on my X, make sure everyone can hear me over there. Should be fine. Where we're at today on a Wednesday. Looks like people can hear me there. Let me throw a little, as usual, throw a little GM for good morning in the chat. And yeah, we're off and running here. Markets, like I say, been open for 4 minutes now. Looks like the NASDAQ, it's been up and down all night. Down, up. Looked like we were going to open up about 1% on the NASDAQ. Looks like we actually opened up 0.55% on the NASDAQ. Pretty flat on the Dow at 0.04. Hey, Steph, GM, man. Brother from over there in Belgium, technical analysis, does all the market updates and stuff for the Heine community on their 6:30 a.m. show, and also has his own show a couple days a week talking TA and investing and market conditions. Man, good to see you, Steph. A little later there, they're about I think they're about 8 hours behind us here, but early afternoon there. But good to see you, Steph. Yeah, now S&P up 0.24, so kind of, like I say, today we've got two major events. We've got the, well, here I'll talk about it. I've actually got screens on it. Let's go over and let's look at, obviously it's the FOMC meeting notes and the Nvidia earnings. I think both coming, I think about 2 o'clock, so half hour or so, or 2 o'clock Eastern time. Yeah, so a couple hours before the end of the day, we'll have the FOMC notes. We'll talk about that here in a second, as well as I think Nvidia comes right after the bell. So expect a little volatility. Could be interesting today. Bitcoin 77,199. It looks like we had a little bit of a drop. If we look at it the hourly, you see we're down. So as the market opened, we're kind of dropping down. We'll see if we find a bottom. Heine coin, Mr. Heine, community. The actual founder of the Heine community over there. Good morning. So I had a nice Mr. Heine. They do a nice walk and talk on the beach there in East Coast, man. That was beautiful this morning, seeing that sunrise come up. Yeah, check that out. A lot of good spaces, a lot of great community, a lot of great, obviously a lot of, oh, hey, coming at me twice from his personal account. And yeah, Mr. Heine, I saw you said you might try and you have a noon training call today. I heard you say you might try and use the restream, which is what I use. So I'm streaming right now simultaneously on X, YouTube, as well as Rumble. But I think I'm going to switch that. I think I'm very closer, maybe even to where I have enough followers on TikTok. I think I'll switch it to TikTok, or I have to pay more if I want to do 4. I don't really have much traction over on Rumble. Never really tried to do too much over there. I have 2 or 3 people, 4 people watching a day, but not. I'll probably just switch that because I know you get a lot of engagement. The algorithm's really good over there on TikTok, and I've got almost 1,000 people, so you can easily add people and a lot of people doing live. So this is the hourly chart we're looking on. So yeah, I'll try and jump on and try and get that. Maybe I can be some help. I have to be on my laptop. That's where I do it from. But yeah, that'd be cool to live stream. And I think especially on TikTok, I think some more people can see it. Of course, everyone can see it on X and YouTube as well. I know you guys have all those channels there in the Heine community. So yeah, it looks like we're dropping down a little bit. We're still looking at the hourly chart on Bitcoin. See, we're kind of going down. Let's see if we can find the bottom. Let's take a look at Ethereum. Let's actually go back to the daily chart. Yeah, you can see though a big dip as well. We've got 2,120, 0 for the day, but down 0.5% for the hour. XRP We're at $1.36 and a third of a penny, down 1.1% for the day and 0.5%. So it seems like everything's falling down with the market open. And Solana 84.45, down 0.4 for the day, but 0.6. But if we look on the hourly, maybe we'll find a bottom here. We shall see. Let's look back just for fun. Let's look back at traditional markets. Refresh it here. Yeah, it's still down a little bit from, so down 0.29, down 0.05 on the Dow, down 0.18. So, not surprising on a day with a lot of stuff hanging in the balance. No real new news on the Iran situation. No real news on the Clarity Act. There is a few articles we're going to talk about. But anyway, interesting. Not surprising, to be honest with you. But let's jump into some of the news here. Bank of England Deputy Governor Sarah Breedham says tokenization could lower cost, speed up settlements, and boost competition in financial markets. I'm sure they're talking more about their own thing. And, I don't know if she's talking about tokenization in general. We know it does all those things. Europe hasn't been too friendly to any of it, but, they're probably thinking about a CBDC, which there's some news on a U.S. CBDC, which kind of surprised me today. But we'll talk about that here in a second. We'll check back here in the market, give it a couple more minutes, see if it can settle down. Strive, which of course is Vivek Ramaswamy's company that he helped found. They're following Michael Saylor's strategy. Especially they're doing a preferred stock, much like the STRC we talk about so much. It's called SATA. I believe it even pays a little bit higher of a dividend, like 13.5. So crazy. But they're on track to do a record-breaking week. So digital credit is taking off indeed. Federal Reserve, you guys may have seen this, came out yesterday and this morning. Federal Reserve just reported that 10% of Americans hold Bitcoin and crypto. That's 34 million people. So, but still, we're still early, I say, because most of those people have a token amount or very small, certainly less than 1% of their overall investment portfolio. So my argument is not only will it become much more prevalent and pretty soon everyone, almost, not everyone, but a majority of people own crypto, but the allocation will go from 1, 2, 3, 4% to 10, 15, 20%. So that's why I'm so bullish on it, even though we're on a day, there is a lot of talk now as we're kind of in this middle period. I'm hearing a lot more talk about could Bitcoin go back down into the 50s, even sub 50s. There is an argument for that. I don't know that we'll get down that low, but it is possible. What's going on there? Oh, sorry, I was on the same screen. Senator Loomis, speaking of the Clarity Act, Senator Loomis told our guy, what's his name? Charles Payne. He actually follows me on X. Charles Payne, good dude and pretty crypto. I notice he's him and Maria Bartiromo seem to be the ones that are always talking about crypto the most. But he had Senator Loomis. She said that the Senate will pass it with Democrat support, and it'll happen this summer. Obviously, we know Trump will sign it into law. I think we need about 7 more Democratic senators to come over. And, the problem is many of them are heavily, some of their supporters and some of their people that invest in their campaigns and stuff. And then they're obviously, not to mention highly amount of influence is the banking. I call them the banking cartels, whatever you want to call them. The banking unions and things like that are very much against it still. They just want to they're scared to death because they just want to continue to maintain their unfair monopoly. Let's go back. I'm curious. Let's go back and see Bitcoin's, if we found a bottom yet for the morning. Maybe at 76,977. Currently at 77,000. So yeah, we were at almost so we're 77,655 before the market opened. Thought we'd do good. But anyway, maybe we bottomed here. We'll come back and check. From our guy Kyle Chasse, think about this too, because this is adding pressure to the market. He said the bond market is breaking, and we've reported on this. Japan's 10-year yield just crossed 2.8%, first time in history. The U.S. 30-year Treasury hit 5.19, highest since 2007. Fed Chair Kevin Warsh is hawkish. I don't believe that. Although it will be challenging. I don't think Trump put him in there if they didn't see eye to eye about some things have to be revised. The Fed's constantly behind the eight ball, and I get it. They have a dual mandate, but Trump also has to worry about, like I've said, got to refinance $10 trillion in debt. Right now, we're paying over $1 trillion extra because the borrowing rate is so high. But there is some challenges. Inflation 3.8, oil above 100. Market now pricing in possible rate cuts. This is the most significant shift in the global cost of capital in nearly 2 decades, playing out in real time. Bitcoin isn't crashing, it's reacting rationally to a world where cheap money no longer exists. So it is interesting dilemma and challenging times, to say the least. So could we see lower? Yeah, I mean, technically speaking, there's a lot of arguments to go lower, but right now we're kind of taking it day by day. We haven't seen a huge move up or down. And keep in mind that even if you can see, and even if you can believe it's going to go up or down, it doesn't do so in a straight line. There's all these short-term fake outs, and that look, that's what the markets do. The markets are there. They're set up to cause max pain. Hey, Coach Master, GM, a good buddy, longtime OG from over there on X, coming from YouTube. So good to see it. I think that probably helps my algorithm a little bit to have some people interacting over there on X. So anyway, a Fed minutes today at 2 p.m. Eastern time. Sorry, I was thinking 2 p.m. my time, which is close to market close. But this is, I think, 2.5 hours before market close. So this one really matters. I like the title here from our buddies at Coin Bureau. Powell's final Fed drama drops today. So the last meeting had 4 dissents, making it the most divided Fed vote since 1992. Markets already know Fed rates were held steady, but today's minutes could reveal why the Fed split. The wording could move Treasury yields, the dollar, mortgage rates, stocks, and even crypto. And with Kevin Warsh set to replace Powell, this could show the messy Fed fight he's about to inherit. So, yeah, pretty big news. I expect some volatility. I think that's why the market's kind of bleeding out a little today. And then we have Nvidia, I believe, after the bell. Now, this is interesting. Nvidia Corp scheduled to report its first quarter earnings on Wednesday. A top analyst said the investors are increasingly focused not on whether the chip makers beat expectations, but whether CEO Jensen Huang can convince Wall Street the AI infrastructure boom still has years of growth. Another thing to think about is that China, they basically have zero revenues from China. Now, I was in the import-export business a lot of years. Do not think there's not a gray market here. Do not think a lot of chips aren't going, via other countries and making their way into China. But China's taken a strong stance to try and support their own chips. And they're not afraid of stealing patented technology, reverse engineering it either. So anyway, it is interesting, but I think that we'll still be fine. But so keep that in mind. Put that in the back of your mind that Nvidia no longer has any earnings. They came up with a compliant chip that America was okay with, but China said no, we don't want it. Now it may put them behind because they want to take a tough stance and go with this narrative doesn't mean they can do it. And like I say, there's very good chance that a lot of this is coming. We call it gray market. So you have people that their whole job is overcoming sanctions, tariffs, things like that. They're called diverters, or just the fact that typically a lot of companies don't want to, they have a plan for how they're going to distribute. So these diverters get around it. I know there was some talk about this a few months ago. So I don't know that I don't know enough about it to know if China's chips can fully compete. Quantum 56 says, what did you think of the latest election drama the last few days? Yeah, I didn't really see too much on the timeline. I'm not following the political stuff. Maybe type in what you're talking about. I didn't see a whole bunch of obviously there's we have the redistricting and stuff like that. I've been seeing that, but I didn't see any other, wasn't paying much attention, didn't see on my timeline too much other election stuff. Though that is a major factor coming up, right? So yeah, let me know what you're talking about there, Quantum. Because I didn't see anything major that comes to mind that I was following anyway. So maybe type that in there. We can bring us up to speed. $2 trillion Bank of America just bought 19,600,000 worth of Bitcoin via Master. And this is for their wealth clients, right? Because they don't officially have any ETFs or stuff, but they have to disclose what they're buying for their wealth management clients. So they're having, a lot of times this is them. Oh, the Thomas Massey stuff. I haven't been following it all that much. I did see that on the timeline. I know Trump hates Massey, and I have been seeing him posting about it, but I don't. I haven't followed exactly what happened. I saw some stuff with him, supposedly some sexual harassment stuff, and yeah, I didn't. Like I said, I just looked at it, but I did see Trump anger tweeting about him. But yeah, I didn't follow that much of what's going on with him. But Preston won. Yeah, I'm not Ghostmaster. I don't know what's exactly happening with all that. Hadn't followed it that close. Preston won. Is that the guy that's challenging Massey for the seat or whatever? Yeah, I'll have to find out. I'll have to talk about it later. Maybe you can come up on. Oh, Massey is gone. Oh, okay. Yeah, I didn't know that. So I did see. That's probably good news for a lot of people. Don't like Massey. I see some people call him masshole, and people don't. And I don't know that he's. Yeah, I know he's kind of in the middle, but definitely anti-Trump, and Trump's been sent. So, okay, so he lost what, primary or whatever. So yeah, if he's not there, that's a good. Definitely, Trump will be happy about that. I probably should have read that. I did see Trump tweeting about him this morning on True Social. So yeah. So I did see though recently he's been under a lot of pressure. Some sexual assault allegations that seem pretty credible. So I'm sure that helped. But yeah, I haven't been following. I never have followed Massey that closely, to be honest with you. But yeah, good to see Ghostmaster. Maybe you can come up, or someone come up and talk about it. I can look it up a little more. We'll talk about it on the GM show. But no, I hadn't seen that he was gone. So yeah, I think a lot of people will be happy about that. So definitely not Trump's favorite. Now this is huge, I think, for Solana. Morgan Stanley just filed an amended application for its Solana ETF with MSOL listed as the proposed ticker. We've seen how good it's been for Solana and XRP to have these ETFs. So if Morgan Stanley has one, and they're jumping in with both feet, right? they really want to do a lot with retail, and they're going to push it hard. So yeah, Morgan Stanley with the Solana ETF, I think that's very bullish. I'm very bullish on Solana anyway. To be honest with you, over everything else probably, but Bitcoin. But there's some good things. But yeah, people that are fading Solana, I think, are going to regret it. But I think most people realize it's a blue chip. But I'm very much a huge believer in Solana. This will be good. We see how good the ETF did for XRP and Solana as well. So I think that's huge. This Coinbase shows the guy in a minute. I forget his name. I met him up here in Salt Lake. Me and Flexter were hanging out. We went to a crypto convention up here, and their chief strategist guy here, smart guy. But he said that basically the claims are total fiction. There's a lot of evidence banks. This gentleman here, God, I forget his name, but I did meet him. Nice guy, smart guy. He's the head of regulation and stuff at and probably these political stuff at Coinbase. But he said a lot of evidence that banks are completely unaffected. What they're saying is that the local banks will get drained out and they'll hurt them, which is really just the big banks using them, trying to maintain their unfair control. So I think it gets passed. Now this is interesting. This is very interesting. First I've heard of it. Former CFTC chair Tim Masad says U.S. CBDC is still being explored behind closed doors despite Trump's public opposition. He calls it ultimately inevitable. So central bank digital currency, we see China and stuff, these are very bad. Gives the government so much control. Anytime they think you owe taxes, or maybe they don't like what you're talking politically, they could just shut off all your money, right? So horrible thing. But it's interesting to hear that there's still talk about a US CBDC. All the more reason to get some Bitcoin and self-custody it. Definitely not something I like to see talk about. Putin just talking to Xi this week. Looks like they just signed a deal to extend the Russia-China alliance. Kremlin says about 40 deals are signed. So they're very close to what did George Bush call them, part of the axis of evil, right? And I think Iran was in there too, maybe South Korea. I don't remember who all, but definitely not good. Definitely not good, to be honest with you. I don't like to see this with, Trump's trying to wedge himself in between that through capitalism, bring both these countries more into the mainstream and away from some of the nefarious stuff that they're backing, obviously. So anyway, interesting, but not surprising either. I think this was meant to kind of, show their independence, and we know they're trying to get away from the dollar and all those things. Our guy Pomp on with Maria saying that the next wave of Bitcoin buying is going to be caused and brought in by these financial advisors. Same thing I've been saying for a while now, right? And at the Bitcoin conference, I was surprised when Morgan Stanley, I don't remember her name, but their chief crypto strategist, I don't know if she really comes from the crypto world or how much experience she has, but she said that that initial inflow of $140 so million into their ETF was all self-directed, and they hadn't even really encouraged their people, their advisors, that is, to go hard. And she kept saying how early it is. So, I agree with Pomp here that that's going to, because they're going to, so many people they leave it up to their financial advisor. They have a trusted relationship with their bank or that financial institution and with their advisor. And they're going to ultimately buy, and they're going to buy the percentage, the allocation that their financial advisor gives them. So financial advisors are very, very important in this equation. I couldn't agree with Pomp more. Chainlink co-founder Sergey, he said that RWA and tokenization has already decoupled from crypto price as TradFi adoption accelerates. I agree. We talk about RWA. It's a niche that's happening, and it seems to maybe be such a focal point right now that it's probably tokens within that niche are probably not as affected. Interesting. Looking at the crypto bubbles here. Interesting. Dash. Wow. Dash OG company. Ondo, an RWA thing. Hash, I don't know too much about. VVW, someone was asking about that the other day. I was in on that IPO, Venice token. I haven't looked into it much, but it's moving up big time. It's moving up big time. We'll see in the last month, it's up 101%, and it's gone up massive. It wasn't even the top 100 a few weeks ago. So interesting. Need to look back into that. I might still own all those, or I might have dumped them. I don't even remember. But anyway, let's take a last look at quick look here. Yeah, it looks like let's look at the hourly here. 77,152. So we're off the bottom, but still nothing to write home about. I think we just have to wait and see, and be prepared for potential volatility up or down. I think we hear those Fed minutes, we see what they said, and then we see what happens with Nvidia. A lot of times you get to buy the rumor, sell the news with Nvidia, just because they always outperform. But like I say, there is a little bit of headwinds there. We'll see. Wouldn't be surprised to see some volatility the last 2 or 3 hours and right after the market closes. So that's it. I'm not really going to guess a direction. I am happy though that we haven't had a massive drop down to mid or low 70s. We can maintain these levels. Though I know technically, I was hearing Steph talking earlier. It's definitely kind of looking like that. But anyway, for now, that's where we are. Feel free to join me over on the GM Bitcoin Morning Show. We'll have some other speakers, and always feel free to come up and contribute. Appreciate to see the Heine community, everyone here. Everyone have a great hump day, great Wednesday, and we'll see everyone tomorrow morning, if not over on the GM Bitcoin space.